Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about polymers and some of their uses as biomaterials. I will introduce what a polymer is and then give some examples of their uses, specifically their development in heart valve research. A polymer is a repeating structure of a monomer unit, which can be an individual atom or a small molecule, alkenes for example. These monomers and their arrangement are the key contributors to a polymer's chemical and physical properties. Monomers can be arranged in many different ways, from a single monomer chain shown here, to alternating monomers A and B, to blocks of monomer A and B. An example showing how functional groups affect the chain is if any of these monomers have long hydrocarbon chains attached, it will result in that section of the polymer being very hydrophobic, repelling water. If, on the other hand, a monomer has a carbonyl group attached, the polymer will be very hydrophilic in that section, meaning it will be attracted to the water. This is due to the lone pairs. There are only two kinds of polymer, natural and synthetic. Natural polymers are, unsurprisingly, made in nature, some examples of which are DNA and proteins. I promise that is supposed to be a protein, as well as cellulose in plant cell walls to strengthen the cells. Synthetic polymers are those made in a lab, for example, PVC, a polymer used in most plastics, from cling film to piping. Teflon is another example, the thing that makes pans non-stick, as well as many of the fibres that are used in fabrics, clothing and furniture, from trainers to carpets. These are the kinds of polymers that have been introduced as biomaterials. A biomaterial is a substance that can be introduced into body tissue as part of an implanted device or to replace an organ. Throughout years of experiments and research, many uses for all kinds of polymers have been found, from hip replacements, false teeth and heart valves, to nanotubes used in drug delivery and self-dissolving sutures that seal deep wounds. Something that has come up a lot in polymer research over the last few years is the heart valve. As you may know, there are several valves in the heart, and their job is to prevent the backflow of blood. In the past, when heart valve transplants were required, a tissue or mechanical valve was used, but after many years, it has been decided that a polymeric valve might be better. They mimic the physiological manner of a healthy valve better. They have a simple production process, which is therefore quite cheap. And the method of insertion of the valve is minimally invasive. This means it reduces the risk of any surgical complications, which has to be a good thing. The polymeric valve currently used in transplants is made by a company called Gore. They provide vascular grafts for the valves as well as sutures to secure it to the tendons. It is made of extended PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene, and polyurethane bonded together. PTFE is an example of a polyalkene, which you may have come across before, and polyurethane is an example of a polyamide. You can see the amide link in the middle. Gore's material is very effective in its role as a polymeric heart valve. You can see in part D of this diagram the vascular graft secured by the sutures acting as tendons. A new material is being developed by NanoRegmed. Their material is called Hastellex and is made of polyurethane and functionalized graphene oxide instead of PTFE. This material is already used in tendons, urethra, facial organ and abdominal membrane transplants, but through research has shown to be an effective heart valve replacement as well. Research comparing the two polymers has shown that the Hastellex polymer has superior mechanical properties, such as elasticity and tension. It has greater hemocompatibility, meaning the risk of blood clots is reduced significantly, and it has a greater calcific resistance, meaning there is less plaque buildup on the polymer. As Hastelex is put forward to be a PHV material, it must check certain boxes, like all biomaterials. To be deemed safe, the material must be free from leachable impurities, so nothing toxic is released into the body. It must have the desired biochemical properties, such as tension, compression, and elasticity, as well as simple things like melting point. Most importantly, it must be biocompatible. It should trigger no negative host reactions, for example, an inflammatory response, any blood clotting, or an allergic reaction to the material. It is also important to understand the degradation of a material. Is it a biodegradable polymer? Will it dissolve over time, like the sutures I mentioned earlier, in the body? Or will a secondary surgery be required to remove the material? A polymer's interaction with water has a big impact on its degradation, making it an important factor to consider when designing the polymer in the first stage. There is a long process when designing biomaterials because, as with all medicine, there is a chance of rejection. While they cannot be introduced straight away, lots of research and development is going into polymers as biomaterials to advance medicine and improve the lives of those that need it.